Gender inequality and female discrimination in the workplace. Discrimination against women in the workplace is a persistent issue that hinders efforts to achieve gender equality. Gender-based discrimination persists in many aspects of society despite the enormous advancements made in the fight for women's rights and equal treatment, with the workplace serving as a particularly contentious front. There are several difficulties and obstacles that women must overcome, such as chronic pay inequalities, unfair treatment, and limited prospects for growth. This essay explores the complex subject of discrimination against women in the workplace, highlighting its negative outcomes and arguing for the immediate necessity of addressing and fixing this pervasive issue. Women have defied cultural norms over time and demonstrated their professionalism in a variety of fields. But the deeply rooted prejudice and misconceptions that they must overcome to achieve true equality continue to stand in their way. The unfair treatment that women experience in the workplace is one example of gender discrimination. Women frequently find themselves at a disadvantage due to biases in hiring, promotions, and pay, even though they have equivalent qualifications and skills. Such unfair practices not only impede women's professional advancement and personal growth, but they also maintain a climate of gender inequality that jeopardizes the general effectiveness and productivity of companies. There are few prospects for growth for women, and they frequently run into unseen barriers that prevent them from moving up the corporate ladder. Even though they might have the credentials, abilities, and will to succeed, women are disproportionately underrepresented in leadership roles. They are prevented from rising to positions of power in decision making because the glass ceiling phenomenon still exists. This not only deprives businesses of unique perspectives and contributions, but it also conveys a demoralizing message to future female professionals that their objectives can be limited purely due to their gender. Unfair treatment is one of several workplace biases against women that can happen, and it is one of the forms of bias that can happen. Women frequently endure discrimination in the hiring process, which can have an impact on promotions and pay, even when they have the same qualifications and experience as their male colleagues. Women in the workforce may experience issues with this. They might also be the target of harassment, which can happen at different times and take the form of verbal and physical abuse. As a result, the sufferer can go through mental and emotional pain, which might make their working environment unpleasant. This way of thinking can hinder women's ability to fully contribute to the industries in which they work and make it difficult for them to advance in their jobs. Having fewer prospects for promotion than men can be another example of how discrimination against women occurs in the workplace. This is only one more example of the issue. Despite having the same or even more qualifications than men, women are generally underrepresented in leadership positions. Due to glass ceilings and other development barriers, it is possible for women to be prevented from rising to the top levels of their particular organizations, which in turn limits their ability to have a significant impact. These barriers to advancement might take a variety of shapes: the perpetuation of gender biases and the formation of a discrimination cycle that keeps repeating itself can both be attributed to a lack of diversity in leadership. The persistent gender wage gap is one of the most glaring and quantifiable instances of discrimination against women in the workplace. The gender pay gap still exists, and it is getting wider for women of color and people with disabilities. For doing the same job, women are still paid less than men, in addition to endangering women's capacity to maintain their financial security. This pay gap supports harmful gender stereotypes and the idea that women are less valuable employees than men. A persistent problem that affects not only individual women but also the economy as a whole is the unequal treatment of women in the workplace. Companies and industries risk losing market share if they are unable to utilize the full potential of their workforce. If this issue is not resolved, the advantages of diverse and inclusive workplaces have been well documented, and they include increased inventiveness, creativity, and problem-solving skills. Business must take proactive steps to combat discrimination against women and foster an environment that values and supports all of their employees. In conclusion, because the problem of discrimination against women in the workplace is so pervasive and has such deep roots, it is critical to employ a variety of strategies to solve it. This is because the issue has been around for a very long time. This is true because the issue is so deeply ingrained in the culture it impacts. Even if there has been some improvement, there is still a long way to go until there is gender equality in the workplace. Businesses can guarantee that all workers, regardless of gender, have the chance to succeed and contribute to the best of their abilities by granting equal opportunities for growth, closing the wage gap, and fostering an environment of respect and inclusion in the workplace. This can be done by fostering an inclusive work environment where everyone is treated with respect by doing away with pay inequities and by giving everyone the same opportunities for career progression. It is time to remove the barriers that have kept women from reaching their full potential at work and to establish a setting where men and women can compete on an equal playing field. We must take this action because it is the only way that women will ever be able to realize their full potential.